I'm very excited to be a part of this academic festival. As you can see from the title, it's Robots as Learning Partners. And when I usually say this, I get this blank look like, what does that mean? Are they going to be in the classroom? So I'm going to start out by asking you, is this what you all envision? Can you please play the video?
Daycare can be expensive. So to save some money, I found one that uses robots instead of real people, because robots work for free.
Good morning. Female child.
So how was Kate's first semester?
Satisfactory.
Satisfactory, like, okay, yeah, good job, or more like, nah, average kid kind of thing.
Affirmative.
Flaws? Maybe.
So definitely that's one approach that you could take, but there also has been different other types of approaches. So one, they might see a robot or an agent or an artifact as something to be programmed. So you might see industrial robots that develop cars, or you might see robots that play an instrument, where they kind of have the robots behave in certain ways like humans. There's also other types like machines that teach humans. So an example might be this pitching machine, where they pitch a ball, you hit the ball, and then based on that, they would analyze what your problems are, and then they keep on pitching you the ball so your swing gets better. And then there's this area that I am interested in, is having robots as learning partners. And so when I say learning partners, I think there's several roles that they could play. One as a probing tool, another one as a peer learner, as an informant to teachers, a stage manager, and from that, what kind of data can we provide to others? So today I'm going to talk about a couple of these. So starting out as the robot as a probing tool. So robots have several interesting features that are potentially valuable as a probing tool. So one, they have this wiggle room for imagination and creativity. As you can see from the 1972 Sam the Robot from Sesame Street, I think people weren't really quite sure what to use a robot for, so there's like a lot of things that it could do. And then you have this boundary-like feature in robots that could probe children's understanding. So you might recall the movie AI, where there was a boy. Then sometimes you could forget that it's actually a robot. But with the awkward behavior, you're suddenly in this situation where it becomes a little bit scary, too. And another one is the facial, the features that they have. They have this human-like or animal-like feature that can elicit a social response. So we did this study with younger kids and have them interact with an animal or a cat robot. And we found out that for young children, 3 to 5 years old, the category of robot hasn't really been developed yet. And through this probing of having them interact with this robot, we found out how they understand intelligence, agency, and biology. So for example, a child might say, yes, this robotic cat needs food, but it won't grow because it's hard. Or they would say things like, we would have the robot play in front of them, and then we say, oh, you know, we forgot the remote control. Do you think it will do anything? And the 3 to 4-year-olds would say, yes, we just saw it move. But the 5-year-olds would interestingly say, no, if you forgot the remote control, it's not going to do anything. So interestingly, sometimes knowledge overrides what they actually just saw in front of them. So here I'm going to show you a short clip of the child encountering this robotic cat, and then this provides us with a good probing opportunity. If you could play the video, please.
Okay. This is Chai. Is it a toy?
What do you think? Do you think it's a toy, or do you think it's a real cat?
Oh, cat.
A real cat? Okay, would you like to pet it?
No.
You don't like cats?
I do, but I don't. I'm afraid.
Oh, you're afraid? Okay. So why don't I move it? Okay. So that's kind of an opening to giving them a chance to ask them questions about biology, agency, and intelligence. Now this is another study or research that we do, is robots as peer learners. And robots are very imperfect. And that actually makes them a great peer learner, because with reciprocal teaching, children learn to watch out. I mean, they can't really fully trust the robot, so they're really careful that the robot says the right thing, and that in turn helps them monitor themselves too. If you could play the video, please.
Have we met before? I am your friend Projo. I am gonna solve puzzles with you.
Students at Harlem's PS 76 have a new classmate when it comes to math and science, a robot named Projo.
Let's practice once before I start. I don't want to make mistakes. Can you check and make sure I don't make any mistakes?
Projo greets students by name and works with them on multiplication and math puzzles. Fifth grader Umu Dumbia says Projo
doesn't give you too many hints. He gives you enough hints that you want.
Yay.
Researcher Sandra Okita is pairing Projo with students to observe how they work with a non-human peer. It's all part of the evolution of some robots from tools to companions.
Now we're thinking, okay, how can we create a robot that would be possibly a mirror to me? So instead of an artifact that you manage, it's becoming an artifact that you build a relationship with.
The robot partners with students to solve problems, but Projo is not perfect. He is programmed to make mistakes.
The robot is not always going to be right, therefore I have to be careful and make sure that he's right or I'm right, and that leads to more learning.
The students' interaction with it, they seem to be very captivated.
Sounds great.
Yes? Thank you. They seem to be very captivated with the interactions that they're able to have with this robot.
Projo scared some students at first, but fifth grader Fanta Sise already thinks of him as a friend.
He's cool. Even though he's a robot, he can be a good friend.
Researchers like Okita hope this is just the beginning of a beautiful and educational friendship. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Jennifer Weiss.
Okay. We also tried to figure out if this would be the same with younger kids from between 4 to 10 years old. And we had this simple recall task, a table setting task with going over the information about the utensils. And we found out that older kids tend to perform better even if the robot is either like a teacher, lecture-like robot versus a cooperative peer-like versus a self-directed, you do your thing, I do my thing type of robot. The biggest difference came with the younger kids. So the kids that were in the cooperative robot condition, it turns out, performed as well as the older kids. So when it comes to designing robots, we have to be really careful to get the maximum benefit. So another one is the way to use it is robots as informants for teachers. So things such as monitoring children's interactions, something that's harder for teachers to do on their own inside the classroom. So robots have sensors, they could move about the room, therefore they could also gather data, such as who is talking, how long, and how many times, and provide that for the teacher. The robot could actually also solicit response from children. Another is like a physiological sensor, like when were the kids most excited during a particular interaction. Eye gaze is another one that you could see where were they looking, and then where were they standing. So these things can be combined with the robot's technology and used together to gather data. Now, as a stage manager, well, a stage manager usually makes sure that everything's in place. And one example would be making sure that the child is close to the robot. And this is actually very important because of facial recognition and speech recognition. So you want to make sure that the robot could kind of move the child in a particular way, have them go to a particular group. So this type of thing is actually also doable with the robots doing it inside. And what we found out is sometimes it's better to use a familiar play scenario. So, for example, if there weren't that many people, people would say, can you please sit up front? And some people do, in most cases in a classroom, they won't. But is there a way that robots can lure children to come over to the front? And we found out that if you use a game scenario that they're familiar with, like Captain May I or Mother May I, they were more likely to come closer. So in summary, let's say that when you think about robots as a learning partner, you might be able to use it as a probing tool, as a peer learner, as an informant to teachers, as a stage manager, and from that you could create valuable data and good tool development that you could share with others. Okay, thank you.